Hey guys, so it's time for another F150 update. It's been a while. Today we're talking about wheels and tires. So I'm going to show you my new setup, go over what it took to get these tires on, what I had to trim, and give you a review of the Hankook Dynapro MT tires. So let's go. So here's the beast in question, and what I ended up going with is a Chopstix XD 20 by 10 inch wheel with a 35 by 12.5 inch Hankook Dynapro MT tire. So we're gonna go through and review what I had to do to trim, what I had to do to make these things fit, and a review of the tires, how they've been, because I've had these on my truck now for about 20,000 miles, 35,000 kilometers in about 6 months, and honestly I gotta say I'm really impressed with them. They've been great on-road, off-road, but we'll get more into that soon. And let me just show you the poke from the front. So this is a -24 offset, so it sticks out about an inch from the body, and I think it's the perfect offset. It's not too far out that you're flinging rocks everywhere, but it also looks nice and aggressive and makes the truck a little bit wider. I'll show you from the front. There she is. So suspension wise, what I have here is a 2.5 inch level up front and a 3 inch block in the rear. So the rear block replaced the factory one, which was a 1 3/4 inch block. So I have about 1 1/4 inch lift in the back and 2.5 inches of lift in the front. So to answer the question that everybody asks a million times a day, can you fit 35s with just a level? And the simple answer is no. Well, it depends on the offset, but mostly no. So to get these guys on, I had to do a lot of trimming, a lot of cutting of the fender flares, the plastic inner liner, the crash bars, and there's a block, like a plastic filler block behind the rear wheel that I also had to trim. Yeah, so technically they can fit, just not without trimming. But also very dependent on your offset. Like if you have a stock tire with a 35 inch, you might be able to fit with just a little bit of rubbing. But because these are -24 offset, they stick out quite a bit more than stock, I think 3 or 4 inches. So once your tire gets out of that fender well, you're gonna start hitting. It's crazy windy out here. You're gonna start hitting everything at the front and back. So now I'm gonna show you actually inside what I had to do and what I had to cut exactly to get these tires to fit. So I'm hoping this shows up on camera because it's a little bright outside. Let me see if I can get in there. Alright, so this is behind the rear of the tire. So as you can see, this fender flare that comes down here, I had to cut right there. So that used to extend all the way out here. And then the next thing was this fender liner in here. So you can see where I had to chop that. That used to be down here. After that, this plastic filler piece, I painted it black a little bit so it's not as noticeable, but it's a plastic like body filler piece. So the bottom half of that I had to chop. A little bit of the body down here, you can see the raw aluminum. So that all had to go. And then lastly, the crash bar. The actual rear crash bar has been fully removed. So that crash bar would have came out to here, and that's what was hitting the wheel. Now if we come around to the front side, it was a similar story. So let me just get in there. So this is the front. Firstly, the fender liner. That used to come all the way down to here. Secondly, this, I guess it's a air deflector, or this plastic piece also, which used to be somewhere around here. That had to go. And then lastly, the crash bar. This one I cut, I did not remove. So this crash bar originally came out to about here, I believe. So that is what I had to do to get that to fit. Now the nice thing, once this is all removed, I have full clearance. I've had this truck fully flexed out and fully locked without rubbing. So now let's talk about the actual rubber. The Hankook Dynapro MT is not a tire that people talk a lot about, but I've been pleasantly surprised. I actually went into the shop looking for a completely different tire. I was gonna get, I can't remember what they're called, it was some knockoff brand AT, and I was gonna get a 285 65 20, which is roughly a 34.5 inch by 10 inch tire. And they just didn't have them in stock. So you know what, I said, fuck it, let's throw on the 35s and see if I can make them fit. We'll cut what we have to cut. But it was a great decision because the Dynapros have been amazing. So I've had these tires on-road, off-road. I've had them in mud pits. I do a lot of overlanding and off-roading. Not much rock crawling, but they have been on rocks, and I've been super pleasantly surprised. I have about 20,000 miles, 35,000 kilometers, and there's no sign of tread wear. The lugs are still almost an inch deep. So I've been happy with the on-road performance, the off-road performance, and the tire wear. I mean, they are 6 months old now and almost showing no signs of wear. So I've been super happy with them. It's definitely a tire to consider, and they're not as expensive as the BFGs and the Falcons and some of the higher brand models. They're made in South Korea, they're not made in China. And I think overall they're just a really decent tire for the price. Now, some of you may have noticed the trailer in the background. That is my overland camping trailer. I actually build these here in my garage and then I rent to sell them. So this is a 5x10 model. I built a few 5x8s. Those are all gone. But I will do a full walk around of this guy. So if you guys are interested in that, that will be coming soon. If you're in the Toronto, Ontario area and you're looking to rent or buy one of these, yeah, all that info will be popping up very soon. All right, I've moved it inside the truck now since it was getting a little windy out there. So the takeaway is, yeah, you can fit 35s with just a level, but it all depends on your offset. Stock factory wheels, or if you have a small wheel spacer, you're most likely gonna have to trim just a little bit. But because my wheels are -24, it sticks out quite a bit and I have to do a lot of trimming. So the tire size is important, but offset I think is even more important. So the factory offset's +44 and I have -24, so that's a 68 millimeter difference. 68 millimeters, I don't know what it equates to in inches, but it's about 3.5, maybe 4 inches. So I'm sticking out almost 4 inches more than stock. At that point you're outside the wheel well, you're hitting the front, you're hitting the back, so you do have to do a lot of trimming. The nice thing though is not having a big lift kit. I can still fit my car in the garage. I still have the same ground clearance because your lowest point is your axles. So your tires actually determine your ground clearance, not your lift. I live in Canada, it gets to like -35 Celsius out here. So having a truck I can still fit in the garage is very important. So yeah, there's a lot of positives to doing a small lift, like a level or even a 3-inch lift or a 4-inch lift and big tires versus getting a 6-inch lift and 35s, because your ground clearance is still the same, right? And like I said earlier, I meant to get a completely different tire. They just didn't have them, and I just pulled the trigger on 35s and just said, whatever, let's see what happens, and I'm glad I did. I've taken this truck on some trails where it's been fully flexed and fully locked, and I'm not rubbing. So with enough trimming, yeah, you can fit anything, and I'm actually really tempted to go for a 37 now and just see what happens. I know at that point I'll have to trim more on the inside and probably have to trim my bumper. So I'm on the fence. Like, it would be really cool to run 37s on just a 2.5-inch level like I am. But we'll see what happens. That's it. And yeah, I'll get a walk around the trailer. That's just a little side business I have. I build these camping trailers and then rent and sell them here in the Toronto area. So if that's something you're interested, if you're into overlanding and want to try out a trailer, you can rent it before you buy it, and that video will be coming shortly. And yeah, that's it. Till next time, and cheers.